Welcome to the December 16, 2015 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I would request that everyone turn off their cell phones or silence them in some way, mute, and then please stand and repeat after me. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Applications for rezoning and conditional use permit heard during tonight's meeting will be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during the meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendations on the applications will then be submitted to the St. Charles County Council for their final decision on the items. The individual items and bills for these applications are scheduled to be introduced at the Monday, January 11, 2016 County Council meeting. Applications for preliminary plat heard during tonight's meeting will also be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during the meeting. The vote this evening on preliminary plats is final. Only a recommendation for denial of a preliminary plat would be heard before the County Council. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for the public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission: the Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including zoning maps, the year 2025 master plan for the St. Charles County, which includes the year 2025 future land use plan map. I see we have a quorum. Can I get a motion to open the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just so you know, tonight's meeting, they've asked to keep the preliminary plat for Lake Acres tabled tonight, so I wanted you guys to be aware of that. And let's go ahead and move forward on the public hearing. So tonight, the first one is going to be RZ, the rezoning request for Dietrich Road, RZ 15-00017. The current zoning is A agricultural district, 5-acre minimum lot size. RR single family residential district, 3-acre minimum lot size. The owner is Bogart Family Trust. Applicant is Eric Bogart, and the area is 3.92 acres on private easement, approximately 760 feet east of Camp Creek Drive and 780 feet south of Dietrich Road. The council is District 1. And just so you know, how we're going to go about the meeting tonight is we're going to ask if the applicant wants to come up and speak first. After that, we're going to open it up to the public so that they can come up and speak. Try to keep it concise, to the point, exactly what you're for or against it. Try to keep it to 3 to 5 minutes if you can, and then also make sure you fill out a speaker's card either before you leave or before you speak. After that time, after we'll close the public hearing, we'll also then bring the applicant back up if he wants to answer any of the questions or concerns that come up during that public meeting, either for or against. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and ask staff for recommendations on the first one.
Thank you. The subject property, area land uses, I forget which map I had up. The area land uses are to the north, east and west, single-family residential, and to the south is agricultural. The adjacent zonings are A, agricultural, as is the subject property. And the future land use plan shows the area to be developed rural residential, which is proposed or recommended for 3-acre minimum lot sizes. Oops, sorry. In reviewing the application, staff finds that the tract, it's 3.92 acres out of a 15.32 acre tract that is currently undeveloped. They want to split off this piece and construct a residence on it. The proposed 3.92 acre tract is in keeping with the proposed future land use of the area of 3-acre minimum lots. And the staff also notes that there are a number of other lots in the area that are less than 3 acres in size, because from 1973 until 2006, the minimum lot size in the area was 3 acres. So staff is recommending approval, and there were no letters.
Thank you. Is there any questions for staff on the commission? Seeing none, is the applicant here? Do you want to come up and speak on this? Come on up. Come on up. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Eric Bogart, 1700 Dietrich Road, Forestell, Missouri.
63348.
Thanks. Go ahead, Eric.
Yes, that's exactly what Jan referred to, looking to build a single-family residence there in the near future, probably 2016.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and close this and open it to the public. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public and bring it back to the commission.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion
Second.
and second. Mr. Setley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Mr. Leonard? No, he's not here. Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
And Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
That's 8-0. That one passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next one to come before this commission is a CUP, a conditional use permit on Guthrie Road is 15-000015. The applicant is Nathan Hale. The property owner is John P. Wiley Revocable Trust. Use request is commercial outdoor recreational ropes course. The current zoning is A, agricultural, 5-acre minimum lots, and the area is 38.79 acres. Location is on the west side of Guthrie Road and Bushy Brook Road, and it's in Council District 1. Staff?
Thank you. Okay, area zonings include, to the south is zoned A agricultural with the county and single-family residential district in Wentzville. To the east is in the city of O'Fallon, and it is zoned single-family residential. To the west is city of Josephville, single-family residential. And to the north is city of O'Fallon, single-family residential district. Area land uses include to the north, it's vacant and wooded. To the south is single-family to the southeast and west is all single-family residential. In reviewing the application, staff looked at the proposed ropes course. They have indicated to us that it is not going to be open to the general public, but people will reserve on the course, and they will get into more into that. There won't be any large-scale lighting on the site. Structures have to meet the maximum structure height in the zoning district, which is 40 feet, and the tree cover there, the site is completely wooded. The tree cover is at 60 feet in height. They aren't proposing to take down many trees at all, so the site will remain looking basically as it is. They propose a parking lot and a small building on the property. So staff is in favor based on the fact that we can have this on the property, and it really won't be that visible from the adjacent residences. So staff is recommending approval of this ropes course, and subject to the following conditions. A site plan has to be submitted to and approved by the St. Charles County Community Development Department, indicating the entrance, parking, and location of all structures. No lighting will be permitted on the site except for security light. No conditional use shall be active until all conditions of the approval have been met. And in any case where conditional use is not in place and in active use within 2 years from the date of granting and/or in accordance with the terms of the conditional use originally granted or subsequently amended, then without further action by the Planning and Zoning Commission and/or County Council, the conditional use or authorization thereof shall be null and void. And there were no letters.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? Yeah.
Did we get any comment from O'Fallon that abuts the property?
Conditional use permits, we do not notify the cities, we just notify the residents within 500 feet. And the reason is conditional uses are just a use that is, we find is okay in the district and that we can condition it, so that's why we don't go to that step.
So why do we only do 500 feet on something like this, on a conditional use, and 1,000 under zoning changes?
Because it's a specific use that's permitted,
Within
and the
gotcha.
uses are limited in the book. Actually, it used to be I want to say maybe 2004. It used to be we just notified the adjacent property owners, but we changed it to 500 feet in 2004.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and ask the applicant if he wants to come up and speak, to come on forward. Okay, come on up. Raise your right hands.
Go ahead, I'll get
He's
this.
gonna speak, Scott.
No,
He's not speaking. He's
Okay.
I'm just,
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Nathan Hale, 2123 Preston Woods Parkway in Lake St. Louis.
Go ahead, Nathan.
All right. We've got, that's not my
I don't think that looks
presentation.
like the plan. Is it plugged in? I don't know if it's, I guess it is. It's got a family picture up there.
Plugged
doesn't it?
in, but
it has to be duplicated, and we have to duplicate that. Go to here. Go
I
to,
guess those are the people that are going to be on the ropes course.
and, let's see, yeah. And,
Technology.
Oh, that's down there.
That's down here, yeah.
and then,
Yeah,
This is a better picture. Yeah.
I do like that better.
display.
yeah, display, thank you. And then what we want to do, change the display settings. And we want to extend these. Yeah, it should,
Right, here comes our tech people.
Duplicate these displays.
yeah,
Apply.
help. I think they should allow it to extend, doesn't it?
No, you don't want to extend.
Oh,
You want to clone. Yes, that's what you want right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. So,
That's what's on his screen. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There you go.
Is that got it?
there we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we are two brothers out of Utah that are looking to come into the area and put in a high adventure ropes course for the purpose of team development, team building, group activities, corporate retreats, not overnight retreats or long-term staying retreats, but 2, 4, 8-hour retreats for corporate groups. Also, scout groups, church youth groups, even families or family reunions could reserve the property or reserve an element on the property and utilize it for their purposes. In Utah, these are very common. The county that I come from has, I think, 5 or 6 of these in it now. And as I moved to this area about 2 years ago, I relocated about 2 years ago, I saw that there's not a lot of this type of a experience offered here in the St. Louis area. There's a course that is similar in nature in Creve Coeur Park, and then there's a course at the Wyman Center closer to Eureka. But within St. Louis County, or not St. Charles County, there aren't any groups that are offering something like this to the public and to the businesses in the area. So I'm going to run through this PowerPoint real quick. These are a couple of slides of the property that we're discussing. This is the part of the property that we would be utilizing for the ropes course. We aren't going to be using the entire property, but as we were looking for a place to set this up, this property hit all of our requirements. We're close to I-70. There's not a lot of navigation that people have to do to come and find us. It's a nice, good road right there on Guthrie. They just redid it recently. We're within 40 miles of St. Louis, and so we felt that this offered us the greatest opportunity to put the course in the trees, where you're out away from, where you feel like you're out away from the city. You're out in the nature. You've got the creek running through there, so it provides a great environment to have these types of activities, the team building and things like that happening. We're able to kind of get away and kind of take in nature and do some development. So Helix Park is an adventure-based venue with experiential education. It has designed use structures with games and challenges that promote skill development and growth. We offer programs that are versatile enough for corporations, communities, families, even therapy. We've seen courses in Utah. The therapists will go in and use the course to help those that are recovering from, different types of addiction or troubled youth homes, or even families that just suck at communicating. Come out, the therapist brings them out there, and it gives them an opportunity to go through something that's challenging, and they need to communicate with each other in order to accomplish and get through whatever the element is. A ropes course is a series of activities known as elements. These elements consist of low elements, happen within a few feet of the ground, and high elements that could be 10 feet or more above ground. There's safety equipment involved in all of these things on belay systems and with facilitators that help them navigate these elements. So this is kind of our projected design of the course. Kind of run through here. You'll see the parking lot. We plan on having a couple of light poles there to light the parking lot for safety. We'll be operating from dusk to dawn. Those lights are going to be facing away from Guthrie Road, so they aren't going to be projecting any light in the homes that are across the street from Guthrie Road. We'll have a couple of footbridges that go over the creek. This right here is showing some of the lower elements that we'll have. This structure is what we call our Helix Tower. It's got a tandem zip line that's going to cross the property. And then this is some of the other higher elements that we're going to have on the course. We plan on leaving most of the trees there. There's about a half-acre area we're going to clear out as much as we can in order to have a grassy greeting meeting area. Groups could come in and do a picnic in that area, things like that, or we could do some games and activities if we have a larger group. But other than clearing out the undergrowth, putting some paths in, clearing out the deadfall or any trees that an arborist says aren't healthy and have a risk of falling, those are the things we'll be clearing out from the area. And we won't be doing that to the entire property. We'll just be doing it to the area in which the course is going to reside. Some of the elements that you'll see there at the property as possible elements is this is the artesian beams. As a team works together, they have to traverse these elements to move the beams that they have as a group to get from one end to the other. This is called the Mohawk Walk, and there's a cable that's strung across different points. Again, teamwork in order to get from one end to the other. Some of the higher elements, leap of faith. Somebody's up on top of a pole or a stand, and they're jumping out to grab a ring. We have the King Kong swing. So it's just a really, really big swing. And the person gets pulled up in the air and they get let go, and it's a rush. And then we have the Giant's Ladder. So this is a team activity as well, where you have to work as a pair to get to the top of the ladder and down. This is the parking lot design that we have now. We've got, I can't remember the number, around 38 spaces. We're looking at possibly 2 light poles. Again, those will be facing away from Guthrie Road. They'll just be lighting the parking lot. We won't have any lighting out on the course outside of some ground lighting, possibly on the path. It's for safety purposes. And we won't have anybody up in the trees after dark for safety reasons. We may have a group that may be wrapping up the end of their low element, and we may extend maybe an hour after dark in that area if there's enough light for them to safely do whatever that lower element is, and they'll be leaving. So the lights in this parking lot won't be on more than an hour or 2 after dark, and then we'll be out. So that is what I have. I'm sure there's probably some questions since this type of a venue hasn't been presented before. Yes?
Nathan, do you and your brother own this property now? Or
We do not. We are under contract on this property. and
Based
so-
on this?
Based on this and being able to move forward, so.
You mentioned in Utah, this is quite common. Have you Have you owned or run a facility like this in Utah before?
My brother has been in the industry for almost 10 years.
So how many of these?
He has built more than a dozen courses in Utah.
Does he operate them or just build them?
He's operated one in Utah. He works for a man that owns a course there in Utah. It's been there for over 20 years. And so he's been running his course, and he's been building courses for him. He's built courses in Boston and all over the country. So he's traveled and built these courses, and we felt this was an opportunity for him to break away and do one for
So
ourselves.
he'll be the builder.
Yeah, he's the builder, and that's one of the things that allows us to be able to do this is to build a course like this. You're looking at about $150,000 just for building it, and we're able to use our internal expertise in building it, so we don't have that large
You
of an
men-
overhead.
You mentioned you'd have staff for guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at some of the slides, especially the King Kong Leap of Faith, gripping for, do you have, or will you have someone on staff that's not only trained in the, I guess, the safety aspect of all this, but also having some medical training for first aid? Because
Yeah.
I'm sure most of these have some risk
There is,
involved.
the safety equipment and the courses are going to meet ACCT guidelines, certification guidelines, and that's the national organization that kind of governing body over
Well, if
this.
somebody
type
gets
of-
injured, though, are you planning on having somebody on staff when you have organizations?
We'll have staff that will be medically certified, you know. We'll also, you know, make sure that we know where, I mean, we plan on having a community event prior to opening for the first responders and things like that may come out to the course. Again, there aren't a lot of accidents that happen on these courses unless somebody is acting in a way that they're making unwise decisions. Everybody's going to be on belay. They're going to be in safety harnesses. It's not like they're jumping up there and climbing a pole at random and at will. It's very structured and it's very,
Well, if you have church
very
groups
organized.
and you have Boy Scouts and something, they're young and prone to getting injured, so I was just wondering if you have some
Well, yeah,
contingency plan for.
we'll make
some-
sure that there's adequate, you know, whatever we need.
If this gets approved, when is your concept date of having this open?
There's a lot of things that still need to happen in order to nail down a date, but we're looking somewhere between April and July of this next year.
Thank you.
Is this a seasonal business?
It really depends on Mother Nature. We could be operational right now with how mild this winter is.
Can you
So,
operate in the wintertime?
We can operate in the wintertime. We could be operating right now if we were operational due to the fact that.
People do in the wintertime outside.
What?
You still do these activities
yeah.
outside in the wintertime when
Yeah.
it's cold and?
Oh, the course that we have in Utah, there can be a foot of snow on the ground when people are out there doing these elements
On the swing?
on the swing. You may not want to, but we do see, I mean, reduced activity, but we do see activity on these courses in Utah in the winter, and not a lot. And it really depends on what's happening. You know, high winds, thunderstorms, those are really what's going to prevent us from doing something.
So
But if-
you're going to start out by just having organized events that are pre-planned, groups that come, you're not going to be open to the public?
Well, I mean, we'll be open for the public to make reservations.
Okay.
So,
But
I
they
mean,
can't just walk up and if they don't have a reservation?
No, we're not structured in a way to support that. We've talked about maybe having a 4-hour window on Saturdays
Right.
that we might offer something like that, but outside of that, no.
And how do you feel like you affect the people around you, the residents, and are you bother any of those people with these, or?
We haven't seen that in courses that we've had. I mean, it's not like we have large PA systems that are blaring all day long. We're going to be quite a ways off of Guthrie Road, where these activities are happening, and we're going to be during daylight hours.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not like we're going to have concerts at 10 o'clock at night blaring music or large PA systems that are just going to be blasting.
Right.
You know, we're trying to stay away from, you know, the city, the noise, the things that distract people and allow them to really focus on personal development or team development. And
Right.
and communication and things like that. And so that's kind of really what our focus is.
I want to follow, also, under the staff's recommendation, no lighting will be permitted on the site except for the security light on a pole not to exceed 20 feet in height. But you mentioned several different lights. Is this
Yeah,
in
Nathan-
agreement with staff?
Nathan and I talked about that. When we were writing up the staff recommendation, we didn't see lighting on their proposal, so we thought, well, there should just be a security light. So we are okay with you modifying that number 2 to just read, except for security lighting at the parking lot, not to exceed 20 feet in height.
I mean, really, we'll have a light on the bathroom. We'll have, of course, we got to have lights on the
Yeah.
bathroom. But, the parking lot and then some ground lighting to light the path, around the parking lot. I mean, we're not going to have tons of lighting. The course is not going to be lit. We're not going to be having these elements done or used, after dark.
But
It's
the
just
parking
not
lot's
safe.
50 feet from Guthrie's Road, right?
It is.
And are there going to be trees in front?
We're going to leave as much of the trees as we can between Guthrie Road and the parking lot.
Okay.
We're really trying to keep it as indiscreet as possible. And so you're really feeling like you're out away from things. I mean, that's the purpose of this is to have that retreat feel, not that you're walking into a commercial district and with buildings and parking lots and the noise and the distractions. That would just deter from the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Go ahead, David.
So this is a competence course, like, I've seen this over in St. Louis County. They used to have one over in a park. They didn't have as many rope
They have an
things.
alpine tower, I think, that the county is running. We weren't able to find a lot of information about it, but they do have an older alpine tower. that
They
the
used to
county-
have some other things other than as many rope things, apparatuses that are you're showing, but like tunnels that you had crawl through, people from both ends, and other types of things you had to walk across. and
Yeah,
stuff.
there's dozens of possible elements that you could utilize in a venue like this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and open it up to the public. If there's anybody that would like to speak on this matter, please come forward now. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Scott Sacco, S-A-C-C-O, 344 Galahad Drive. But I'm representing Nathan in the form of I'm a commercial real estate broker representing him on this, and I just believe that this is a good use for the ground. We've had a lot of conversations about this with Jan and believe that it's a good use for the property, very low impact, but yet it's also a situation where it offers a great amenity to the neighboring, to the county and to the surrounding region. We think that by bringing this amenity into the community, it diversifies and really provides a great amenity for the residents and the neighboring residents. So hope that you, if you have any other questions, please let us know. Hope that you approve this, though, at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else who wants to speak on this matter, please come forward. Just one at a time, if that works, unless you guys are you all going to speak separately? You just want to be right behind him? You get behind him then. You go ahead. You go ahead. You get up there and help him then. Can you raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address for the record.
Mark Harris, 321 Misty Brook Drive.
Go ahead, Mark.
So I own the property backing up to this, and I have several questions. They keep saying it's a rope course and a rope course, but in the diagram that I've pulled up from the internet, they have a zip line course.
Right.
So is there a zip line course? And in the property line, it shows 600 feet. So the zip line course, the end would be like in my backyard, where these people would be getting off. And I know we didn't have a video, but I'd love to show a video of people zip lining, because they're going to be screaming. So I'm going to be sitting out on my deck of my new home that backs to this woods that I paid this extremely high lot premium to be there. And it was zoned residential back there.
Can you point out where you're at on this? I'm sorry.
Well, you want me to go over that?
No, you state the microphone. They can, right there? Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
Misty
Jan.
Brook Drive there.
Yeah, Mr. Brook Drive, right there.
So it's going to be all the way to the front.
Yeah.
Well, the parking lot's going to be to the front, but the diagram I have here showing the zip line course, which there was no mention of the zip line course, which I
Okay.
found
All
kind
right.
of funny that we keep saying rope line, like a rope.
Yeah, yeah.
A rope climbing course. Is there not a zip line course here? Because
It's
this
just
is.
as one zip line. So we'll let him come up and answer
Yeah,
that.
right, yeah.
That's a good question.
Because
though.
if you take this diagram and put the zip line course, will be right up to the edge of my property. Back over here is where
No, I don't
where the
think so.
diagram I have here.
No, I
I'm
don't
going by
think
what
so.
I got here. There's no, he
Okay.
showed us no
Hold on, hold on.
diagram.
Sir,
Yeah, it's
of the
okay.
zip
So
line.
let's show you.
That diagram isn't over the entire property.
Right, that's not the whole entire
That diagram's
property.
only, if you look up there where the
Okay.
arrow is.
So see where the arrow is?
That diagram's only
Yeah, I'm-
over this area.
See the
Okay.
arrow?
Yeah.
It's just going to be up there in the front.
So what's going to be over to the left over there? Is he just going to leave that? Because when
Yeah,
you-
it's all going to be acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna leave
Because,
it
I mean, it
open.
was, residential. That's what we thought when we bought there, that was going to be residential, which is a drop hill. So if you go in my backyard, I don't have pictures here, but I have them on my phone.
Okay.
If you go in my backyard, it drops downhill, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And, but my property line comes up to that back of that
Okay.
hill that would drop down.
So Jan, how many
So-
acres is he going to be using of that 38 acres?
Well, it's going to extend back from Guthrie Road 630 feet on the south property line. So that probably only brings it back
To
to
right
this
there?
area.
Okay.
If you look at, like, these lots are probably like 70 foot wide. So
Right.
600 feet's probably not going to come much farther back than this. And the northern property line, he has 900 and some, and I think that's going to this point right here.
Okay.
So it'll come down like this.
So it's only going to take
In
about
that
a third
area.
of that whole property.
Yeah,
So it's 2/3 almost away from your property, just so you know.
yeah.
Okay?
But I mean, we would still hear people screaming coming down
I
zip
don't
line,
know
I
if
would
that's the
imagine.
case. I don't know if
because-
that's the case, though.
But anyway, that's what I would think. But anyway, so, and he said the ground clearing, he's going to clear a lot of the ground cover. And when you clear that, that really opens up the line of sights. And I have a picture on
Wouldn't
my
that happen
phone.
with residential, though?
Pardon me?
Wouldn't that happen with residential, though?
Yeah, but the residential, it's downhill. So I don't think they would build on the hill, on the slope coming down on the property. I don't think, you can't see the slope coming down, that whole back line there.
Yeah, I'm
It's-
going to respectfully disagree with that, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a slope, pretty
Yeah.
deep slope down.
Sure.
Pretty deep slope downhill.
Sure.
Okay? So, and then, and then it was like, in this letter, I read on this letter, it was like Monday through Friday operation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was talk of something came up about Saturdays, opening them to the public for 4 days. And then
4
it was 4 hours, and then it was one light. Now it's 2 lights in the parking lot. And ground lights, you'll be able to see them from a distance. So I guess that was my point, of the things, some of the things that were in the letter. And I just pulled this all off the internet, off of them. So my concerns, of course, are the people screaming, coming down a zip line. It's a pretty residential, beautiful area. Why everybody's buying into it there that have bought into it and paid for that premium to be back to Woods and enjoy that. And in residential, and I think, in my opinion, and that they wouldn't build houses on the slope, which mine is a pretty deep slope going back down. Now in the underbottom, they would.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Any questions for Mark? Thank you.
okay.
I would also like to speak.
Okay, well, raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
I am Cindy Pizzo. My address is 320 Misty Brook Drive, O'Fallon, Missouri, 63366.
Go ahead, Cindy.
We're new to this. We just were advised of this. Mark and Ann are our neighbors. They live 2 doors down. And like Mark said, we just bought a brand-new home, beautiful home, backing to Woods. We live in a predominantly residential area. McBride is our builder, and we are one of probably 5 residents in a new development on the other side of Guthrie.
Can you show us where that is, Jan, by chance?
This is new, so I'm not
Well,
not
she can show us.
educated enough to
She
know.
can show us. So you're right next to Mark. Okay.
Okay. But he said that the lights are aimed away from Guthrie Road. Well, we're on the other side of Guthrie.
But that's all wooded, Cindy, just so you know.
I'm sorry?
That whole property's wooded. You're not going to see any of those lights from this
Oh,
property.
okay.
No.
Like I said, I'm not very educated
okay.
on
It's all right.
the project, but
You have a better chance
I-
of seeing those lights on Guthrie Road, and I don't even think you're going to
We,
see them on that.
I mean, we bought out there because of the woods and the residential area,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like the idea of people back behind our woods screaming. We have a railroad track that runs by our house, and I can hear that. I can't imagine,
You can't stop
and that's
that.
further away. But I can't imagine not being able to hear people screaming down a zip line through
I
an
really-
area that
I'm
backs
gonna
to
be-
our,
I'm going to tell you, I've been on a ropes course, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably not going to hear them from that distance.
okay, but we bought, I'm just asking for your favor. We bought in a
you're asking us
residential
not to- you're
area.
not- you're
I
asking us-
object.
You don't want us to approve it, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, please,
Okay.
respectfully.
Thank you.
You know, if you do, you know,
Sure.
you do, but,
Thank you.
you know, we bought in a residential area, and that's what we had hoped for, so.
All right,
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak on this matter? Please come forward. If not, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing on this, and we're going to go ahead and ask the applicant to come forward again, and if you want to answer some of the questions that they have.
Those are valid concerns. And as Jen was stating, and as you stated as well, there is a lot of slope there. And as we looked at that property, looked at uses for that property, it makes sense to do the ropes course there because of the terrain, because it makes for a perfect opportunity to develop that area and stay within an area that is away from the homes. We won't be doing, we have no plans right now for anything back behind your homes. And due to the way that those hills slope in there, creates a valley. Where the parking lot's at, there are probably 2 or 3 hills between the parking lot and where your homes are, plus
Nathan.
all the trees.
Nathan, go ahead and just address
Oh,
us.
okay, sorry.
It's all right, yeah,
That's
thanks.
fine. So there's really going to be a lot of visual breaks between where the parking lot is and where these homes are. I don't see any light getting through there. And when I'm talking about ground lighting, I'm talking about, you know, low-level ground lighting that lights your path so you don't trip and fall. You know, and again, it's going to be on for maybe a couple of hours in the evening, or, you know, the ground lighting may be on later if we have something that we need to take care of in the course that night. I mean, it's not going to be like we've got spotlights declaring that we're open for business, you know, all hours of the night. And we are going to be in that area that's closer to Guthrie Road. We felt that this location offered us the ability. There's nothing to the, I think that's north of us, right, Jan? That whole, there's nothing in that property. And right here, where Mexico Road's at, where we will have the course, there's nothing in there either. There's a home up here on Mexico Road, way up here on Mexico Road, but everything behind that is undeveloped. And so we truly have nobody on either side of where this course is going to be, on 3 sides, and you have Guthrie Road on the one border. So
Did you say you're buying the whole property?
we're buying the whole property,
Okay.
and so
But you don't have any plans for the other?
at present, no. I mean, my brother and I have joked around with the idea of, you know, maybe possibly putting a home or 2 back there since we own it, and that way we would be close to the business. But that would probably be 3 to 7 years from now. So really, I mean, we may, you know, we don't have any future plans for
Go ahead,
the rest of the
Roger.
course, for the rest of the lot.
I got, Jan, is there any restriction about entry signage?
A conditional use permit, I think the maximum square footage they get is like 32, it's either 32 or 64 square feet. They just get the one pole sign,
How big would the sign be?
like 32 or 64. So it's either 8 by 8 or 4 by 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Piece of plywood.
Yeah.
But that'd be off Guthrie Road, right?
And that would be on Guthrie Road, yeah.
Yeah. And your experience, they have questions about the zip line and the noise on that?
Okay, so, the question about the zip line. A zip line is an element that you can find within a ropes course. So I guess the term ropes course is a little vague because we aren't actually using ropes, we're using cables and harnesses. Yes, there are ropes involved for the belaying. So the participants are on belay, which is a rope, but the elements themselves are built with cables that have a strength of, I think they're rated for 5,000 pounds. in order to make sure that those participants are safe. The course has to be certified by someone that's ACCT certified, so it is safe. And so, yes, a zip line is an element that can be found within a ropes course. Now, there are courses that are called zip tours, where they are dedicated 100% to zip lines, where you could have, anywhere from 4 to 8 zip lines that take you from point to point to point. But that's not what we were trying to accomplish here.
I have my T-shirt.
What's the organization that does the certification for
ACCT,
ACCT? And what does that stand for?
it stands for, I am not sure, that's my brother's area of expertise, since
Is that a
he's certified as
national
it's a
certification?
national organization that does the certifications, and he's a certified course manager through ACCT and a certified facilitator.
ACCT just certifies.
They focus
projects
on
like
adventure course, I can't remember what it stands for. I apologize.
Okay. Any other questions for Nathan? All right, thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
32.
Yes, Robert?
Can I mention one thing, please?
Sure.
That hasn't been mentioned yet so far. Just in terms of, broadly speaking, outdoor commercial recreation seems to be a good fit for this property. My microphone.
I think it's your other one, isn't it? That one is supposed to be yours.
One thing that hasn't been mentioned is that I think, in a general sense, outdoor commercial recreation for this property is a good fit because this property is really long and narrow, and it's about a half-mile deep, but it's not very wide, and it has a creek that bisects it all the way across. And we have these setback requirements and for creeks that you can't disturb the ground within so many feet of the bank of the creek is at 25 feet. So when you take the creek and 25 feet on each side, which you can't disturb, you're really talking about 2 strips, a north strip and a south strip that's about a half-mile long. And in order to bridge that creek, you'd almost have to, there's not so much you can do with the property, I guess is what I'm just trying to say. So a use of this type doesn't seem to be a good fit for something that's zoned agricultural, and it's in the shape of this lot and with the creek, so.
Okay. Thank you. No, it's already, I'm sorry, it's already closed. So we're going to bring it back to commission complete, and is there any discussion on this, you guys? Do I have a motion?
I'm very familiar with that property.
Okay.
Bought it out there and been there for years. Once upon a time, not scaring the people, but to the east of that was a huge cesspool they drained Lake St. Louis before they ever had the sewers hooked up that now go below my house. I think it was an 18-acre lake there, and it was a big, big problem. When they put the sewer line from Lake St. Louis through, they drained all that and cleared it off, and it's much better. But I have walked all the area, I'm very familiar with it, and I think this is a good idea to put there.
Any other comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And need a second?
I'll second with the
Amending.
amending
Writing.
recommendation number 2 to include parking lot lights and pathway lights in addition to the pole security light.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Griffin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Setley?
Yes,
That is 8-0. Now, this goes before the council on Monday, January 11th, so you guys can go and comment on it there too if you need to. Thank you. Our next applicant is preliminary plat 15-000013. It's preliminary plat for re-subdivision of Lot 65 of Highland Trails, Plat 2, One Wolf Creek Trail. The land surveyor is Fraser Land Surveying Services. The owner developer is Antonia Cirilli and Linguini Cirilli. Wow, I'm probably hacking that up. I'm sorry about that. Property zoning is R1A, single-family residential district, 1 acre minimum lot size. The number of lots are 2. On the southeast corner of Wolf Creek Road and South Trail, it's in Council District 3. There are some aerial maps, zonings, all that good stuff. So let's, do we have the applicant on this, or the preliminary plat? You want to come forward real quick? Do I need staff recommendation on this or not?
We let the applicant speak.
Go first, that's
Because otherwise
right.
they take all of their good
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
It's Tony Cicerelli, 70 South
Cicerelli.
Trail. And it's Caesar and Luigi Cicerelli.
Okay, thank you. Go
I
ahead.
own the lot at lot number 1, Wolf Creek Trail. It's a 2-acre lot. We'd like to split it into 2 1-acre lots and possibly build a existing home, another home on there. Several lots have been divided on the, throughout the subdivision in the last 15 years and have built beautiful homes.
Right next to him you're talking about?
Yeah, all over the whole subdivision.
Yeah.
Well, in the back part, Plat 2.
Okay, any questions for the applicant, you guys, or on this?
So you're living in the existing house,
My sister lives in the existing house, and my brother.
and you're planning on putting,
Possibly building another home
One
next to it.
home over there.
Yes, on the 1-acre lot.
I was reading one of the letters, I guess if you decide building an Ameren UE, says the electric service will require the builder to talk to Ameren and CREC to determine the best way to feed the location, because there isn't any electricity on the property. You're aware of that?
There's electricity in the back part. I don't know if they would have to get to that or
There's
not.
electricity to the existing house on the property.
Oh, there
The
is.
subdivision is, what happened was,
Yeah.
it falls in, on our mapping system, it falls in the Ameren area.
And Quiver River?
Yeah, and
Are you
but it's
on
probably
Quiver River?
served by
Yes.
Quiver
You're on
River.
Quiver River.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
So what's next, Jan?
Okay, from the staff standpoint, we have reviewed the plat, and it does meet the Unified Development Ordinance. I don't know if you guys remember this subdivision a few years ago. That's probably been a while ago. We had a rash of re-subdivision plats before everything went south with the economy. And there had been a lawsuit because there were people in the subdivision who thought that they couldn't split lots, but lots had already been split prior to these lots being split. And so we got a court order that said it is okay to split these lots. The 1 acre is within the minimum lot size because the property is zoned R1A, which is a 1 acre minimum lot size.
Thank you.
What are all the comments that that Duckett Creek had in red? What does that boil down to? They made a lot of
They're
comments on the
just-
drawings.
Yeah, it's,
You can.
I can't read that.
I'm talking about like where the sewer service would be, and they have to put in a, they have to put in a sewer line and things. I mean, it is nothing insurmountable.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? If not, I entertain a motion to accept or approve this, this re-subdivision of this.
You might want to open to the public.
Oh, we do open it to the public?
Yeah, we do.
I'm sorry. Oh, let's go ahead and open it to the public then. Anybody want to come up and speak on it, you can. I'm a little confused on these preliminary plats and re-subdivisions and,
We still take public comment, even though the plat just has to meet the ordinance requirements.
okay. Want to raise your right hand for me, please? You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
And would you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Greg Rich. I live at 3 Wolf Creek Court.
Go ahead, Greg.
This is my first time speaking in front of the council, so I'm excited to have the opportunity to do this and excited to have my voice be heard. Several years ago, my wife and I were searching for a place to relocate, and we found our forever home in this neighborhood, adjoining to this property, just to the right of where it shows on this map here. Since we moved in, we've seen several plots divide and the wide open spaces become smaller and not so wide open anymore. So I did a little research on my own. There's 75 properties in this neighborhood. 73 of those properties all pertain to 4 property boundaries, 4 lines on all 4 sides, in a square or rectangle format. 2 of those 75 properties are in a triangle shape. So looking at the map of the surveyed property, it does not fit within the profiles within this neighborhood or the neighborhoods that adjoin our neighborhood. The only other property that I could find that didn't fit the 4 or 3 property line boundary profile was in the Avondale neighborhood at address 717 Preston Downs. The property consists of 8 sides and sits on 1.66 acres and is used to collect the rainwater runoff from that neighborhood and is common ground for the rest of the neighbors.
Can you show me where is, by chance, up there on the map?
Yes, this property right here.
Okay. So it's right behind. And there's 2 structures on that property? What are those 2 structures?
The house and
House
a
and-
garage,
okay.
most likely.
Okay. And that property is how many acres? It looks pretty big.
When it was originally developed, I think the properties were 3 acres in size.
Okay.
And then when they received sewers, that's when they started splitting the lots.
All right, does anybody else have any questions for Greg?
So I ask that you guys, reconsider splitting this property, as neighborhoods like this in St. Charles County are few and far between and become fewer and far betweener. My wife and I have never lived in an area where we care as much as we do now about where we live and what's around us. We look forward, with our small family, to become very active in the community and the adjoining neighborhoods. We really like where we're at. We like how quiet it is. We like how wide open it is. So I ask that you guys reconsider this for this particular case, and not only this, but cases going forward where larger neighbors are divided into smaller neighborhoods and making St. Charles County, to me, less attractive by splitting these fewer remaining larger properties in these neighborhoods down to smaller.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to speak on this matter here tonight? If not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this. So how many of those houses around there have been split? Can you tell me? Kind of looking at it, I mean, you see 8 and 9 look like.
Yeah, probably like 4.
Yeah, Jan, been with us for a long time. That original decision came down to the homeowners association, where they said the homeowners association prohibited that, but then the judge said not everybody, there was, I think, all but 2 had signed into the homeowners association, so that's how they ruled that that was not appropriate. So then that Hasselbeck, I still remember the man's name.
Yeah, and
he started it.
Yeah, when we had, I can't remember, it might have been, I can't remember if it was on South Trail or High Trail. But yeah, we had 2 lots that became 5 lots, just in that area. This property has already been split once.
I gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
And, I mean, it meets the zoning requirements of the county at the 1 acre minimum lot size.
Were all the properties in this area all zoned R1A?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics on the subdivision, but generally, in the R1A areas where we have a 3 acre lot development, it's because sewers were not available at the time of development. And then sewers became available, and so people began splitting the lots.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
a 1 acre lot's a pretty large lot. I mean, I live on 3/4 of an acre, and I can't throw a rock from my house to my neighbor's house. I mean, I could probably hit it with a driver, but not a 7-iron. Yeah, it's pretty far away from your house on a 1 acre lot.
Yeah, I kind of understand his point of view, though. When you buy in there and you've seen it and it's been what you've expected, it's still hard to accept that all of a sudden you're going to have something different in your backyard. So that I sympathize with them, as you can well be aware. So any other comments on it? All right. we're going to go ahead and bring it back to the commission then. Do we have a motion to accept the preliminary plat for re-subdivision?
So moved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
And we have a second. Mr. Rick Bride, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm's going to vote no. Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Setley?
Abstain.
Mr. Griffin?
I'm going to say no also.
So it's 5-2 and 1, it goes, and that passes. Does that go before the county council
not.
also? It does not.
not go to
Yeah,
county
once it's
council.
approved here. So this has been approved.
Yes.
All right, we have,
Minutes.
we have the minutes for approvals, and that was a long meeting, you guys, so I'm sure you've read through all those.
There's a couple typos.
Couple typos. Is there any changes to the minutes? If not, I would like a motion and a second. Any seconds?
Second.
All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we got one thing on the agenda for the open other business, and Robert wants to mention something, so I'm going to open it up to Robert.
Sure. There's a case on the last agenda that you considered for a wind castle. And I don't need to talk about the specifics of a wind castle, but it does present an opportunity for me to explain something has to do with procedures. And that is, there's a difference between the rezoning and the plat in that the rezoning is a legislative act, and there's all sorts of leeway in that in decision-making. And essentially, if a decision is made on the zoning, people can take into consideration all kinds of factors. And as long as the decision is reasonably related, or any factors, for instance, that would be used to deny it are reasonably related. And also, if it's not arbitrary or capricious, it probably would be upheld in court. So that's a legislative act that the county council can make, and they have more authority and flexibility. Now, when you talk about a plat, it's my understanding it's considered more of an administrative function. It's more cut and dried, and basically, if it meets the technical standards, you really have to approve it. And it can be turned down for technical reasons. And there is a little bit of leeway. Let's just say that maybe a lot you think would be unbuildable, or one or more lots would be essentially unbuildable. Maybe there's a big power line that would totally occupy the lots with the easement, or maybe there's outcrop rock or something like that. There are some technical considerations that you could take into account. But it gets a little bit hard when you consider two things at once. When you consider the zoning and the plat, and you hear people talking back and forth between one and the two, it really gets a little sticky and a little messy. In fact, the administrative function of the plat approval is, the ordinance is very specific. You have 45 days from the initial time you review the plat to take action. And if you don't take action within 45 days, then it's deemed approved, but subject to the county council, ultimate county council approval. So the practical effect of that is it's going to go to, if you don't take action on the plat, or if you deny the plat, it's going to go to the county council. Or if someone's applying for subdivision waivers or variance, it's going to go to county council. So in this case, the plat was going to already go to county council no matter what. But I did want to let you know that unlike a rezoning, it's much more cut and dried. That's sort of a administrative decision.
So we don't have any ability to change a preliminary plat once it becomes before us. We just have to approve it as long as it meets the requirements within the UDO, right? I'm kind of curious about that, because we had some discussion about that up here.
Yeah, pretty much if it meets technical requirements,
Okay.
it really should be approved,
Okay.
because they have certain vested rights
Yeah.
once they have the zoning. If it's zoned residential, they have certain vested rights to develop as long as it meets all the technical requirements. Obviously, if I'm saying anything correct here.
So let me
Please
ask you a
jump
question.
in, but-
If this commission were to say to them, if they have a preliminary plat and a zoning request at the same time, I mean, why does anybody bring a preliminary plat up? It's zoning request.
Yes.
Okay, Windcastle was the first time we've brought a preliminary plat and the rezoning at the same time.
Okay.
And the reason why we did that was because at the previous Windcastle, there was so much discussion on, well, how do we know what we're approving for zoning when we haven't seen a plat? And looking back on it, we probably won't do it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're
saying
really
that,
taking-
and if I throw my 2 cents, I think, senior, I've been around a long time. The idea of the plat, like that, this man does sign it, one of these guys here does approve it, and it's finished, so we have some say in it. And I thought our criteria was, how does this fit in the neighborhood? And the one that I brought up after the last meeting was off Summers Road or something, where, yeah, the plat's there, and, you know, they get so many lots and it all fits, but the back part of it, these guys had much bigger lots, and they were gonna put their backyard right up against another backyard. And without hardly any barrier in between, it's like, okay, I see your plat, you gotta put some kind of barrier up, or you gotta move it around to make it fit in that neighborhood better. And that's
Yeah.
my feeling on it.
Well, I mean, there's like some tweaking that can be done, but you really need to be mindful of when you approve a zoning on a property, that property owner has the right to develop that property as per the zoning district. And in the 80s and early 90s, preliminary plats, we did not notify adjacent property owners of preliminary plats because the zoning was there, and the Planning and Zoning Commission was purely an administrative function.
Right.
Staff showed them the plat. There was no public comment, and the Planning and Zoning Commission approved the plat unless there was something really crazy with it. So, you know, and with everything that's gone on, yeah, I mean, there are things that you can do, but you really have to be mindful of people's property rights. Sure. You know,
I do the property rights,
you
but
guys
would it be
don't-
unreasonable to say that, you know, you're approved, the zoning's 1 acre and you got 35 acres or whatever, but say maybe it would fit better if you flipped it like this? Or your ingress and egress is coming over here. Yeah, you have the right to do that.
Sure,
But we would
yeah.
much rather, you know, our is to make it fit into the county that we want to develop here. You know, the next 30,
Yeah,
40
right.
years, you're going to be looking at that.
Right, but if I have a 20-acre piece and I'm next to another 20-acre piece, and I decide that I want to develop my 20-acre piece with 10,000 square foot lots, and the zoning district is a 7,000 square foot lot district, why is the person next door to me prohibited from building what the zoning district allows at 7,000 square feet when we both have the same zoning on the property, on our property? So, and, you know, and I'm just throwing these ideas out, you know, that hopefully we are not going to bring plats to you that are nasty in a neighborhood. But I mean, but there will be citizens who will disagree with staff because staff has to look at the health, safety, and welfare of all the citizens of St. Charles County, not the health, safety, and welfare of 50 people.
If the builder kept the zoning correct, I think Roger Ellis brought up, it was a difference of 3 houses.
Yeah.
Would Mr. Goss have brought a plat approval to us at the last meeting, or yes or no?
Like in the case of Windcastle, if Windcastle were done with 1 acre,
As it stands now, yeah.
at 1 acre zoning.
Right.
The zoning ordinance allows for them to develop it with 1 acre lots.
Right.
Or it allows them to do a cluster development, and the
Right.
maximum lot size is 14,500 square feet.
understand that. Would he-
And over 2/3 of the property is left in open
Would he have
space.
come before us for approval?
For the preliminary plat, he would have.
Preliminary plat.
For the preliminary plat?
I don't know, I mean, they could.
Yeah.
Well, no, they would
Whether
have.
they would or
No,
not,
Jan,
that's not what staff does. What staff does is review what comes before me. I
Yeah,
don't
but-
know what
but
that
Jan-
developer is
Jan,
gonna
They
do.
would have brought a preliminary plat before you if it was 1 acre lots or
A cluster
or a
whatever.
cluster development.
Right,
We
a
would have
plat would have
approved
come before
According to
us.
that, yes, they would have. So yes, the answer is
We would have
yes.
had to prove it.
We would have had to
met
prove it.
all technical elements.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
To Ron's point,
Yeah.
what you could do, I think, is if you felt like that a plat needed to be denied for whatever reason because it doesn't meet the technical requirements, you could cite that technical requirement in the motion. You could say, I'm going to vote no because it doesn't meet the technical requirements of section blah, blah, blah. You could do it that way. So in order to do that, you may want to review the subdivision regulations closely and just be familiar with them. And we'll try to be a resource for you and guide you as well. And obviously, we have legal counsel here as well, so please feel free to rely on staff for any.
Just curious, why does it come before us
Yeah,
then?
but to Ron's example, if I had 20 acres and he had 20 acres, and it said minimum 7,000 square foot lot sizes, I got there first and decided I wanted 10,000 square foot. He came second and wanted 7. To me, that's no reason to say you couldn't do that because I got there first.
What happens if the 7,000 square foot lot
agree
comes
with
in
that.
first? Are you going to require the guy who wants to do 10,000 square foot lots to put 7,000 square foot lots up against the 7,000 square foot lots?
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to rezoning, I want as much information that I can have. If they've got a preliminary
Well,
plat, I mean,
Well, but
it's
the-
probably good to see that at the time of the rezoning.
But the thing is they can get the zoning approved, and you can approve the preliminary plat, but they could come in with another plat.
I see.
You know, that's not what you approved with the zoning. So when you approve a zoning, you have to approve a zoning based on all of the possible scenarios, like especially when we do C2 zonings. You know, some people say, and you know, we don't see that many C2s, but if we see a C2 zoning and they say, I'm putting in a strip mall, that's fine, but then that C2 zoning could become a bar. And it does not come back before you. It is only site plan review. So you have to look at every scenario allowed
So-
in the zoning district you approve.
So I'm going to let you know, under the zoning that's being proposed under that, they could put in now 72 cluster homes into that subdivision, if they wanted to. That can
And
happen.
with the R1B
Yes.
zoning, yes.
So they could, once that's been approved with the zoning change, they can now come in and put in 72 cluster homes on that instead of 35 cluster homes.
Right, with the maximum
Or
lot size
35
of.
cluster homes,
The
too.
maximum lot size
Yeah.
would be 9,000 square feet.
Right.
But you would have open space on the property.
Sure.
Of,
No, I get that.
of well over half the property.
Right.
Everyone likes predictability, and so I think the public likes to be reassured about what's going to happen at a certain property.
Yeah.
One drawback from the developer's perspective, one drawback from submitting the preliminary plat along with the rezoning application is the preliminary plat is really expensive to prepare.
Sure.
And it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars that's sunk into all of the engineering. And so they're really rolling the dice, I think, by presenting it all at the same time. But sometimes you do see it happen. Maybe it's, for whatever reason, maybe it's they're constricted by timelines or maybe sometimes the public just feels really adamant that they want to know specifically what's going to go there as part of the whole picture.
I've seen it before, where we've had these before us, where the preliminary plat was put in with some other type of, not just the zone.
Only with the PUD.
Only the PUD, okay.
Right.
But they will show us their concept.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah.
but you just want to be,
Mm-hmm.
you just want to understand that their concept, they have a right to change that.
I think you've opened Pandora's box now, though.
But part of the reason we're here, and I think I gave a speech when Cheryl Hibbler was here and this thing was packed, the reason we're all here, and I told Cheryl, I said we should all get up and resign. If it's that cut and dry, that we wouldn't have lawyers, you just go to a book and you say, page 623, not allowed, next, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, but that's
We have
relative
we
to
have follow
plats. I mean, the
rule of law. But I
rezonings and the
understand that.
conditional use
But
permits
we
here
also
are an
have to
important
temper the
function.
other input. And this one had a lot of, this is the third time here, and a lot of interest. And Gail and I walked that property, that's why I was so adamantly against it. I don't know, other than I know one person now that lives there, but the property, walking it and everything, and that Fairdale, the way, and of course he's a lawyer and he's presenting his one side of the case. There are derelict cars with engines sitting out. When they asked him, would we have and this would solve all the problems of Windcastle. Just have everybody come off one entrance, off Fairdale. They don't care. You can put 1,000 homes in. They don't care. They really don't. The problem was, it's going through their subdivision. Just bear with me. They wouldn't sell a house in there because anybody driving down Fairdale, and that was the entrance, If you even, the price point in there was 80,000 or 100,000, even apartments, they would have a hard time selling that. And that's why they want the other entrance off Pittman.
Okay, a couple of things.
But we were at the threshold also, which I think would have solved everybody's concern here, was having the two entrances. And you had that 100 lot cutoff where you have to have the through traffic. And I think that's, Brad would get his development, everything else, and even if you had that cut off Fairdale, if he went for, with the fire department at Cottleville, I think all the other residents would still be happy.
If
you don't have the cut through.
If we don't have that street go through, there are probably 200 or more residents that live on Jacob Station Road that are also at risk of not having that street go through. That street connection isn't just for the safety of the folks of the Bluffs at Windcastle. It's for the safety of the folks who live on the southern end of Jacob Station Road. Having streets connect is a very important thing when it comes down to public safety. Jacob Station Road comes down, and there are two ways to get. There are two ways to get from Jacob Station Road up, but you don't get to those two ways of Jacob Station Road until you get 3 blocks north of Fairdale. So everyone who lives south of that intersection, they are at risk if there is an accident in that area.
So if this was never developed, those people could live there for the next 50 years.
So they have,
Jacob's Landing, and they would still be at risk.
Certainly, that's true, but we put stub streets in subdivisions for this
so they have a problem now.
future thing, because we can't connect the streets without the development happening.
And that's why I brought pictures, the Stubb Street. I've seen a lot of developments I try to visit, and this one got and they say, oh, it's stubbed out. It's not stubbed out. There's a curb there. I will guarantee you, if anybody drove in there and tell me there's another subdivision, all it looks like is another house is going to go there is a lot. There is absolutely zero, none, nada, goose egg to anybody's perception that there's another, as you call it, stubs.
Right. And
then he comes up and he does an aerial view.
And in this
There's a
public
little,
forum, I will not
thing
tell you the
there.
backstory on that.
yeah.
Well,
Well, the other thing I get disturbed because I see
That's a
Mr.
good
Goss
answer.
with his traffic study, and that's why I question
No
that.
kidding.
When we did Summers Road, he did one of those things, and I've seen him for 10 or 12 years, which is fine, but he's a good lawyer. He did the traffic study for the ingress and egress off of Highway Double D on the 40,
Certainly.
no traffic on Summers Road. Oh, there's no, engineering from Clayton, did a 3-month study, 3 months with traffics and blah, blah, blah. And then I asked him, well, when was that done, Brad? And guess what? It was the period when the state had the whole highway shut down because they were replacing the bridge. They had a 19-mile detour up Dyer Road, horse country, and everything else. There was zero traffic. The quarry trucks couldn't even negotiate the back roads. So his zero impact. But when I questioned him, and I said, Brad, that was, and he's very good at
But
it.
that wasn't the case at this traffic study.
I understand that. But I asked him, he said they were out there with a counter.
When you're in a residential subdivision, you pick an average day of the week when school is in session, and that's when you do traffic study. Because if you
seven and
look
nine,
at
3 to
if
5
the
is
average household
ridiculous.
does the same trips every single day.
most of
All right, guys, so we're going to argue over the same stuff. I say we got the information we needed from our staff on this, and let's go ahead and close the meeting.
I move we adjourn.
So,
Yes.
All in favor?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It's probably not.
Sorry,
politically
Jan.
correct,
Sorry,
but-
Jan, you're not going to get to your party that quick.
what about the Sandy Polly thing?